All right, welcome back. We're going to have some fun now with cars. If you really want to see some truly cool cars today, we'll tell you where and how you can do that. And to help us explain that is the organizer of the Long Island Car Show that's happening on this Sunday at MacArthur Airport. He is Frank Coppola. Welcome to the show.
Thank you, Richard.
So another year of eye-popping vehicles. What year is this for the Long Island Car Show?
About 30 years, over 30 years.
You've been doing this 30 years.
Long time.
And you get thousands of people at this, so it's really impressive. What would you say is the main difference now in the 30 years that you've been doing this as far as the cars you see?
The years of the cars have been updated. Now a brand new car, Mustang, a brand new Mustang would come to the show, which would be a
instant classic?
Instant classic.
And I would imagine you must now even be seeing some cars from when you started back in the 80s.
We get the 20s, the 30s, the 40s.
All the way up to
every
decade is covered? Well, we have some photos of the cool cars that are going to be on display today, and there's a few here that in particular you wanted to take us through. We're going to show the photos. Tell us the story with each one of these, starting here.
Well, that's a rat rod. A rat rod is a style that's reminiscent of an older hot rod. It doesn't have to be finished. It's an unfinished car. Right there, that's a 39 Plymouth.
39, wow.
They had a rumple seat in the back seat. You pulled it up and people sat back there.
If they could, right? Wow.
That was a nice looking car. That won the, in 1940 and 1941, that was one of the most popular cars. That's a 57 Chevy.
I thought so.
The 57 Chevy, when it first came out, everyone loved it. But Ford sold more than the Chevy in those years, because when the 57 Chevy came out, it had tubeless tires, and people were afraid of tubeless tires. That's a 1923 T-Bucket.
23?
1920. That might be a fiberglass, completely fiberglass. Wow. You could buy that because the steel bodies of the older cars, you can't find them anymore.
I remember seeing this in movies from the, is that the 40s?
No, that's a Willys, a 41 Willys.
41, yeah.
They made that for 3 years. You could buy that complete car. Nowadays, that's an original one, but you can buy that complete car all in fiberglass.
Now here's like the origins of cars.
That's called a Tin Lizzie.
Yes.
Henry Ford, when he first came out with the cars, he said you can buy any color except black. that wasn't true, because when he first started, they were made in gray and green. Oh, they only became black after 1918.
I don't think those tires would do too well on our pothole roads.
They're wood spokes. They're wood spokes.
You know, tell us a little bit about this show. Where do the cars come from?
They come from the tri-state area. We get it farther. We get Connecticut, Pennsylvania, and they come down to be judged at MacArthur Airport. Right now, the show will be the first Sunday of every month at MacArthur Airport. So every time the first Sunday comes around, we'll be there.
What got you into this business, Frank?
It started as a hobby, where I liked cars, and producing it, shows became a part of the hobby.
Well, I've been to some of the shows, and there's thousands of people that go to this. It's a big family event.
Yes.
People love it, you know, and it's perfect. And here you see the crowds right here from one past show.
Right, that's at MacArthur Airport.
And here we're going to see some of these again. You know, there's a lot of variety of cars on display, and we just saw that. Of course,
that's a Corvette.
Corvette, of course.
52. We have a for sale section in the show, and people bring down their cars for sale. That Corvette was for sale at one of the shows.
And here's some of the ones you talked about. Right. Explain to me, as we see them again here, the difference between, say, a roadster, a classic car, and an antique. And tell us about that one first.
Well, this is that's a 49 Ford.
Before that was the one with the fire.
That was a 51 Chevy.
And now this is a Volkswagen?
This is a Volkswagen.
Holy cow.
Volkswagen 40-cylinder air-cooled motors. That Volkswagen has a V8 motor in it. The guy's a genius putting that in there.
Well, let me take you back to the question again as we see these. What's the difference between a roadster, a classic, and an antique? Just tell us about that.
Well, an antique goes year-wise. 20 years. After 20 years, you can go for antique license plates. Nowadays, really, everything is basically a little. You could buy a car nowadays that became a classic 1, 2, 3. The new Mustangs that are coming out, and the new Chevys that are coming out, they're instant classics. So,
what makes something a roadster?
A roadster, a T-bucket like the one we just showed before, that means it doesn't have a cover on the hood. The hood, not the hood, the engine has no cover.
All right, so this is it, folks. So the Long Island Car Show, it's happening today. Where again? What time?
At MacArthur Airport from 8 to 5. in parking lot 10, and it's the first Sunday of every month.
So you got all afternoon to go in, and we want to thank you for stopping in. I think this is the third year you've been on our show because we love the show. Frank Coppola from the Long Island Car Show, thanks for stopping in and filling us in on the show today. I'm sure everybody's going to have a good time, and we'll be right back.